So we've made it through the month of February, and that means it's time to stop and talk about the 5 books that I completed in the month of February. For me, I feel that reading is crucial to keeping my mind fresh, having new ideas, and to be the best version of myself that I can be. So I try to get through as many books as is possible. Now, the reason that was easy for me to do the last year and a half was because I was delivering a job, driving a truck around all day long, and I would listen to Audible books. Literally last year I listened to about 60 Audible books because of the job that I had. And if you don't have Audible, I'd highly recommend you check it out. You can use my link down below to get a free trial, which means you get a free audiobook out of it at that link down below, audibletrial.com/SeanChandler. They got like 200,000 books or something like that. I am a massive, massive fan of Audible, so I would highly encourage you to check it out if you're trying to get through more books. And it does help out my channel even if you just download it. Don't spend any money, just download it for a free trial. It helps me out. With all of that said, let's dive into it, start talking about the books that I went through. The first one up was actually a good old paperback book that I read called YouTube Secrets. Now, honestly, the book should be called YouTube Fundamentals, Best Practices to Grow Your Channel in a Healthy Fashion. This is not like the Konami code for YouTube. It's not telling you all these hacks like if you put this tag in your video, suddenly you'll explode in growth. It's not like that. It's talking about how do you set it up from the ground level so that you have a concept that's clear, and then how do you kind of build from there to an audience. It's not get views or subs, quick schemes, or anything like that. It starts off with these 7 C's that are kind of like the foundations of YouTube, and then it goes a little bit into more practical stuff and some tips and some tactics. If you're brand new to YouTube and you're like, I want to do this seriously, like I want my channel to grow, absolutely check this book out. I would highly encourage you to check it out, especially if you're just starting. I got a link down below from where you can pick it up off Amazon, but highly recommend this one if you're starting up. If you're established and your channel is doing well, this has a lot of things that are good for you. It'll remind you of fundamentals. It might articulate what you've been doing. The latter half of it in particular had some ideas on social media and stuff that I went, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to start doing that. That's perfect. That's what I need to do to take that to the next level. But it's not as rush out and grab it if you're a little bit more established. I'd probably recommend some other things before I would recommend this book if you're established. By established, I mean you have several thousand subscribers and you're growing, you're doing well. So there you have it. There's book number 1. If you're new to YouTube, check it out. There's a link down below in the description. Second book that I went through in the month of February was 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Now, actually, I went through this book back in 2017 as well. Grant Cardone's, I guess, a famous real estate salesman or something like that, and started doing real estate training, and then became kind of motivational speaker, business guru. And basically he's a just amp you up kind of guy is what he does. And the 10X rule is basically take whatever your goal is, multiply it by 10, and then come up with what you need to do that to accomplish that 10X goal, and then multiply that number of actions by 10. So just whatever you thought you needed to do 100 times as much stuff to get it done. And it's the sort of book, as you go through it, you get amped up and you like get pumped. And so I wanted to go through that one right before I quit my job and went full time. So I was amped up to take massive action right out of the gate. And so I made a bunch of lists, been working on a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes and trying to figure out what does it look like for me to 10X my goals for this year and take it to that next level. What are those massive actions I can take? What are the most important steps I can take? If you're like a person that doesn't naturally self-motivate, it's probably not the one that's going to like amp you up, because you're going to be like, I could never do that. It's not the book for you. If you tend to live in the like, oh, I could do anything type world, like kind of like me, and you self-motivate and you think you can do anything and you overwhelm yourself, this is the book that'll get you even more amped up and drive you even closer to the cliff of insanity. So I love living in that realm. So for me, it's a great little book every couple of years to go through just to amp me up, get me pumped up for all the possibilities of what I could do. Especially right now, is it like just unleashing myself on the universe full time. I wanted to have something really fueling that side of me, so I went back through the 10X rule. I pointed at it, even though it's not over here, so I pointed at a fake book. I listened to it on Audible. Third book that I completed this month was Leadership from John Maxwell. Unfortunately, I wasn't crazy about this book. Point of reference, though. Point of reference. I've got multiple different John Maxwell books just right here behind me. There's another one right there as well. So I've read a lot of John Maxwell books. And one of the things John Maxwell is kind of infamous for is rewriting his own books. He has about 3 excellent books written, and then he's rewritten those 3 books for the last 30 years. It's about every 5 years, I think, all right, this one says leadership. It's going to be a new shifts in leadership. He's going to factor in millennials and all sorts of changes in the work culture and the way people are motivated. No, it's not like that. It's just, it's literally him talking about all the leaderships he's made over his career in leadership over the last 50 years, which is to say what he wrote in this book, and this book already. Actually, this book is 3 books. So this book, this book, this book, this book, and this book. He's already written about all of it. And he starts going here in chapter 1. He goes, back when I started in leadership at a small church, like, oh, I've already heard this story. And the old people you thought liked you for 6 months, and then you showed up to a business meeting, you found out who was really in charge, and you learned that having a position of leadership doesn't mean you're the real leader. Leadership is influence. Like everything you've taught before. So I was pretty frustrated by the book because it feels like he could take what he's been talking about for 50 years and repackage it for a new generation in light of the shifts in culture, technology, workplace. There's all these things that could take his rules of leadership and apply them in a new setting, but it's not that. It's just more of the same exact John Maxwell, except if you've never read a John Maxwell book, this one's as good of a starting place as any of them. So if you haven't read any of them and you're looking for a leadership book, maybe you should check it out. If you have read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and how to develop the leader within you and how to develop the leaders around you, you've already heard everything in this book many, many times before. Number 4 finished book of the month of February is The Dip from Seth Godin. This is actually a really short little book, and I listened to it on my last day at my job. Very last day, that's all I did in my car ride all around the city of Austin, listen to The Dip from Seth Godin. And what he talks about how is the people that really make it to high levels, extreme success are the people that push past the dip. Anything you start, it's exciting and fun at the beginning. And then there's this big, massive dip where it just becomes work, tedious, and you think, I think I'm going to quit this. This isn't worth the effort. It's not going anywhere. It's not working. And so most people quit in the dip, and the people that really make it to high levels of success make it through the dip. But he also talks about how if you want to make it through the dip and be successful at one thing, you have to quit enormous number of things throughout your life. There's all kinds of things that you need to quit in the dip and say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. So you can find the right thing to where you keep going through it to the other side of the dip and can find success. So it's very much about realizing what's the thing that I should persevere through and what are all the things that I need to quit so that I can persevere on the important thing. And that's a really important message for me to hear on this specific day and time in my life. Because for me, I just went full-time on YouTube, which is kind of the dream for me. Like that's being an independent content creator, talking movies about with you wonderful people. That's the dream. The reason I was able to get here is because I stopped blogging. I stopped writing music. I stopped doing a whole bunch of things that were massive parts of my life for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. All the stuff that was like what I had filled my time with before, but wasn't really going anywhere. I was in the bottom of the dip on those ones and I went, I'm quitting those. And then on YouTube, I had dip moments. Summer 2017 was a dip moment. Like I was at the bottom of it thinking, I've been doing this a year now, and I got 1,000 subs. I'm making $10 a month. This isn't really going anywhere. Is it time to make a dip? Is it time to get a new job? And then I made it through the other side of the dip. And that had a cost to it. That had a lot of cost to get me to where I'm at right now. And so this book was I read it years ago and was like, this looks stupid because I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't writing. It didn't mean something to me at that moment in time in my life. Going through it at this point in time in my life, it was the right thing at the right time to help me kind of really see where I was at. And it was a book that articulated what the last year and a half of my life have been, which is riding through that whole dip process. So pretty cool little book. A good ideas to have out there in your mind. Real quick, I mean, the audiobook I think is 2 hours long. So it's It is a short one. That means if you sat down and read it, you could probably read it in about an hour and have some just good ideas to have in your mind. If you're a person that's pursuing passions, whether it's music, writing, whatever it is, it's a good one to have in your mind. And the final book that I went through this actually past 2 months was Make a Nerdy Living. And I thought, hey, I'm about to go full-time making a nerdy living. I should probably get the book on how to make a nerdy living. It's a summary of all the different ways to make a nerdy living. So you can just look at the cover: cosplay, video, that's me, gaming, art, comics, writing, podcasting, crafting, blogging. So all the different ones, it has a chapter on each of them, in which case it's a summary of the things to do, but it's not really digging deep on any one of them. It's explaining the world I'm entering into, and going to Comic-Cons and things like that. And so it put some ideas in my head of some potential future ways to branch out with blogging and podcasting, and what that looks like to monetize those and build the Sean Chandler brand. Right now, the Sean Chandler Talks About brand is YouTube. Couple different channels, but really just one channel on YouTube that is the one that's really making an impact. And so in the short term, I'm just leaning into that one. But long term, I want my influence to be more than just this one channel. And so this was a book that gave me some context on what that looks like. If you're looking for a book on how to go full-time doing cosplay, it's probably not going to help you very much, because it just like lists a paragraph. Here's a way to make money, and it's one paragraph on that. And here's one paragraph. But it gives you the vocabulary to know where to look into other things in regard to these different areas. It tells you what the categories are, and then you can go on YouTube and find other people that have elaborated on all of it. Anyway, those are the 5 books I've completed this month. I meant to go through Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, but with the life transition and full-time and everything, it just wasn't a priority during this month in time. I also went through actually a course on YouTube, Video Ranking Academy. I'll have a link down below where you can join that as well if you happen to be YouTube and want to like dive in deep into something. So I had a lot of learning this month as I was preparing to go full time. So just so you know what I've been working on, tell me what you're working on down below. And thank you so much for watching.